We long to get married. We plan the wedding. But what happens when the honeymoon is over?
Today on Real Family Talk, we'll explore 6 reasons spouses fall out of love and how to keep your marriage strong long after the honeymoon ends.
Welcome to Real Family Talk. I'm Willie Oliver.
And I'm Elaine Oliver.
This is a program about strengthening families and inspiring hope.
It gives us a place to talk about family dynamics and share tools to strengthen our marriages and families.
I often like to say when we have strong marriages, we're more likely to have strong families, strong churches, and strong communities.
One thing I've learned in all our years of leading marriage conferences and counseling couples is that despite all the bad press about marriage, people still grow up and want to get married. But once you get married and you've spent all the money on the wedding, is it really possible to stay married and happily so? What happens when the honeymoon is over?
To help us explore this topic, we've invited our friends Mike and Gail Tucker to join us. Mike is the speaker-director for Faith for Today television, the oldest religious television broadcast in the world. He's a pastor, author, counselor, Bible teacher, chaplain, and husband to Gail. She also has devoted her life to ministry as a pastor and elementary school educator. She now serves as Associate Director of Faith for Today. And she and Mike also host a show called Mad About Marriage. Welcome, Mike and Gail.
Thank you so
much.
much. Good to be with you guys.
We're glad you're here.
Good to have
It's a
you.
pleasure.
We're always happy to see you.
Yeah. Well, we have a lot
chat
of
with
history
you.
together.
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
You know, that's a definition of a friend, is someone who's always happy to see you and has no immediate plans for your improvement.
That's right. That's right.
This is true.
Isn't that great?
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly.
Well, we're going to be talking here about when the honeymoon is over.
Yeah.
And what do you want to ask them first?
Well, honeymoons are interesting things.
You usually learn a lot. That can be an eye-opener, yeah.
But, you know, I was thinking of asking Willie if he still loved me.
Yeah.
But, you know, sweetheart, do you still love me?
I'm not sure what to say. Well, of course I love you. 28 years of marriage. I mean, when I change my mind, I'll let you know.
That's great.
Tell us briefly about your marriage ministries and what is it you're doing with marriage right now?
Well, we've created a television program called Mad About Marriage, and we've linked that program with live events, and now we're creating follow-up material for the live events. So in other words, we'll have a show that is aired in a particular city. We'll come into the city and do a live event, a live seminar.
A marriage conference?
Yes, a marriage conference. And then from that, we're also creating follow-up materials so that a local church or community can begin to do some follow-up work with some of the DVDs from the shows, as well as some couples guides that will help them learn more about marriage in the weeks that follow.
So what I'm hearing you
Wonderful.
say is that when you're done with that, you leave materials
Yes.
and leave some training behind so couples can follow up and get
Exactly.
stronger.
Yeah.
And build on what you've already
That's right.
said, yeah.
We want it to be a threefold mission with the television program, the two of us doing a seminar, and then with the local
follow-up.
churches doing follow-up.
Very nice.
To strengthen marriage and
Because you can
families.
only spread yourself so
Exactly.
thin.
You know that.
But you know, one of the things that's always impressed us about both of you is your passion for marriage. What is it about marriage that intrigues you so much, other than the fact that you've been married for 37 years?
7 years. Well, I think really that's the foundation of it, the fact that marriage has been such a blessing for us.
It has.
We feel like God put us together and He has blessed us throughout the years. You know, in spite of the ups and downs that everyone has, it's just been a wonderful thing to, as they say, have a witness to your life.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yes.
Someone with whom you can move through life.
Yes.
And you can experience all of the things that it entails, you know,
Yes.
the births, the deaths, the in-laws, the moves, the
Yes.
jobs, everything. But to do it together. And because that has been a blessing to us, we have wanted to explore ways to help other people make it a full experience for themselves.
And like you, as counselors, you've also seen people whose lives are really in a lot of pain because of a bad marriage.
Yeah.
And you don't want to see people live that way. You know,
Right.
God wants something better for us. He has something positive and hope-filled and love-filled in store for us. And so we do know that there are keys that we can share with people. You guys do that all the time in order to help them flip the switch.
Yeah.
You know, our show is entitled Mad About Marriage. We ask, are you madly in love or just plain mad?
Yeah.
Right.
You know, but you can
And it's
flip
one
a
or
switch.
the other, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. That's
Well,
right.
and it may start out one way in the morning, and by the evening
You want to kill each other.
That's right.
You're madly in love in the
Right.
morning, and then you want to strangle each other.
So we do want to share some relationship principles that can help you flip that switch and find the love that God intends for you to have.
You know, there's something that you said that I find interesting, and I believe in it, and I'm happy that you've said it because it's important for our viewing audience to know that. You said, you know, that you've been married for 37 years and with the ups and downs.
Yes.
And the reality is, every marriage, it doesn't matter how
Every.
good it is,
Yes.
37 years for you, 28 for us.
Yeah.
Hey, there are ups and downs.
You bet that.
Everybody's going to have the ups and downs. But the fact is, despite the ups and downs, marriage can work.
Yes,
That's
it
right.
can.
And can work effectively. There's something else that you said, Mike, just now, and that is, well, there's some marriages in pain.
Yes.
And people often think that if their marriage is in pain, to fix it, you get out of the marriage.
Yeah.
But there's another alternative, and that is fix the pain,
Fix the pain.
and stay in your marriage.
That's right.
Since we know that first marriages have the best chance of making it.
That's
They
right.
do.
You've been married a second time, your chances of divorce are higher.
Much
That's
higher.
right.
And if you were married a third time,
Even higher yet.
even higher. So getting divorced and remarrying is not the answer.
No, it is not.
You know, if someone is not killing you and if someone is not having an affair, fix the pain.
Yeah.
And it's fixable.
And by getting out, we never really learn to fix our love problems.
Yes.
Because the truth is not just your spouse that is the problem.
Right.
Yes.
It's you.
Right.
You
Right.
too.
Yes.
Right.
And so you won't ever learn that and you won't ever fix what's wrong if you just keep getting out of it.
Yeah, it's so difficult though. Have you found that in counseling people that people will say, but I'm the victim.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I've been the good spouse. I've done all this. And, you know, my spouse is not following up. And oftentimes people will say, well, he had the problem or she had the problem. And so I'm going to move forward. And it's that reluctance to do self-assessment.
Yeah.
And to figure out how can I contribute better to my next relationship.
And the truth is, in some marriages, you may be the victim, but that doesn't mean that you haven't done some things wrong yourself.
There you go.
know?
Exactly.
If you're as human as I am, and most people tend to be, then you've made some contributions to the dysfunction of this marriage along with your spouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, is it 50-50? Is it 60-40, 70-30? Doesn't really matter,
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right.
If you're in pain, let's fix what you can fix and pray by God's grace that your spouse will fix what they can fix.
Yeah.
Terrific. We're talking about what happens when the honeymoon is over and what contributes to a spouse feeling that he or she has fallen out of love. After the break, we'll talk more with Mike and Gail Tucker. Stay with us.
Today on Real Family Talk, we're talking with Mike and Gail Tucker, who blog about marriage and say falling out of love is a choice and not just an emotional state. They recently posted several reasons they believe contribute to a spouse feeling that he or she has fallen out of love.
Well, here's what you say in that blog. One of the most common reasons given for why one or both spouses were unfaithful and had an affair is that they had fallen out of love. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, you've lost that love and feeling. You know,
Yeah.
there's so many songs that come to mind when we
yes.
you've lost that love and you know, those kinds of things hit you, and that's what you hear people say. I just don't feel the same way.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
too difficult now. It's painful.
And I think that's what popular culture tells us, is that you're supposed to feel a certain way. You're
Right.
supposed to
About
feel,
feeling.
yeah. You're supposed, and your spouse is always supposed to do all these fancy things for you, and you're supposed to have this ecstatic feeling of love that never changes, never goes away, and that's not
It's always a
realistic.
high.
Yeah,
it's always a
basically
high.
that would kill you.
Yeah. Nobody can
Yeah,
stay
because-
up all the time.
No.
Yeah, and then you would never really experience that true level of intimacy.
That's right.
Right? I mean, if we were
Yeah.
always just at this it's almost superficial.
Yes,
if
that's
you
right.
will, right?
Yeah.
Because when we first fall in love,
Yeah.
there is that emotional high,
Yeah.
right? And so you're doing things that are really
Yeah.
not totally natural.
No, that's,
right. And the focus is totally on each other,
Yes.
you know. And
And
when you
how I
move-
feel.
Yeah, and when you move into married life, you've got all kinds of things to take care of. You've got jobs and children and everything in day-to-day life.
Bills and
That's
garbage
it.
to take out.
Right.
Between
Yeah.
us now,
And
what's
so
going
we think,
on, the
oh,
interaction.
well, you know, he's not bringing me flowers every day, and there aren't
Yeah.
the long phone calls, and there's not all of these things, and so we must not be in love anymore.
And there are dishes to wash.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
right.
that's a
Yeah.
bummer,
And they-
you know what I mean?
And that garbage keeps stacking up. No one's mowed
Yeah.
the yard.
And clothes to wash. And,
That's right. Those kids are driving me crazy.
God forbid if you have children, you know, and somebody gets a cold, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
Noses to wipe.
Or
and
worse yet, the flu.
You know.
And it really breaks loose.
Day-to-day life is not exactly romantic.
Glamorous.
You know,
No,
it's not glamorous. That's probably the better word.
Yeah.
Right.
It can be romantic, though, I think, and our romance is a little bit different, I think, as we begin to move through life.
In fact, if romantic love is the basis of your marriage, you're in trouble.
You're in trouble.
It has to die as the basis of the marriage, and you have to move to friendship and commitment love.
Okay.
Now, friendship and commitment lovers know how to use romance better than romantic lovers do. They know when
Right.
to use it.
Yes.
But it cannot be the basis of your marriage. It's got to be a commitment and a friendship, a genuine liking of one another.
Because the fact is, we're not perfect.
No.
And so we're going to say something or do something that really ticks off the other person.
Yeah,
At
yeah.
some point.
Or just it's just plain goofy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Whether
Yeah.
or not you mean to hurt or not to
Yeah.
hurt, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, we want to go right to your blog again. And
Yes.
You
Okay.
have 6 contributing factors to a spouse feeling that he or she has fallen out of love.
Mm-hmm.
Let's walk through them. What's factor number 1? They want the fairy tale
Yeah.
romance that is often portrayed in movies and books, and you've kind of spoken about that
Yeah.
just now.
Yeah, you know, when you watch the movies, when you see the television screen, you see something portrayed that is just not realistic.
Yes.
It's just not realistic at all, because the truth is that we all exist in what we call the straight life.
Yes.
And we've just described that with the taking out of the trash and the paying the bills and everything. And there's nothing particularly glamorous about that.
Nothing at all.
Right, right.
You know, now we
What,
can.
and you don't wake up in the morning with your hair done and
Yeah.
and every hair is in place and your face looks
They don't
wonderfully
do,
done.
what the makeup artist does back here.
Right.
That doesn't
Right.
happen.
Yeah.
That's just real life, isn't it? It is.
Yeah.
And so if that doesn't happen for you, if it's not the fairy tale romance, then a lot of people think, well, then I must have married the wrong person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is not right. This is not how it's supposed to be. And the truth is, this is how it's supposed to be.
This is how it's supposed to
Right.
So deal with it.
be. That's reality.
Right.
Well, someone said love is blind, but marriage is a real eye opener.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes,
You know,
yes,
it's kind of like the rose-colored glasses come
Right.
off, and
Yeah.
you see the real person.
And I like to say, while love is blind, we should get married with our eyes wide open.
Yes, that's right.
And that is
Yes,
true.
Yes.
That's
That is
right.
true.
Yeah.
So number 2, bitterness and holding grudges.
Hmm.
Tell us about that.
A failure to forgive is carrying that load of bitterness just crowds out all the room for creativity, for love, for intimacy, because I'm so consumed by the bitterness and by the anger. We've got to develop a short memory
Yes.
to make marriage work. Learn to forgive quickly.
Well, we talked in another show about keeping a scorecard, you know.
Yeah.
And when I am busy saying, well, look, here's what you did,
Yeah.
here's what you did.
And that's
look-
a long
look at all
list.
these, you know, making a list here, then I'm saying, okay, I don't really owe you anything because look at all you've done against me.
I've got carte blanche. I can do anything I want. now.
Right.
Yeah, whatever.
Right.
And that just divides the two of you.
Mm-hmm.
So grudges, saying, you know, I'm going to keep score. I'm never going to let go of this. You will never live this down.
Nothing kills a marriage quicker
No,
than
it
that.
won't kill them,
Absolutely.
and you hurt yourself by that as
Of
well,
course,
because
yeah.
you're never going to have intimacy with that person. You've taught them a lesson,
Yeah.
you know.
So it really builds a
And
barrier.
you've taught
Yeah.
Right.
yourself a
Yeah, that's
lesson.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
In fact,
yeah.
anyone
you can't be
viewing
close
this,
to me.
if you're holding something over your spouse's head, if you're holding a grudge, you will never know intimacy.
Okay.
It will not happen. You will never have the marriage you want. You are preventing it right now by holding that resentment.
It sucks out all the joy from your relationship.
The marriage is dead.
It does.
Yeah. And is that because of the lack of forgiveness?
Yes. We have to learn how to forgive. In fact, you know, the only requirement for you being forgiven by God is that you pass it along to others.
Yes.
You know, that you forgive others
As
He
he
has
has forgiven us.
you.
And that is a
That's
normal
right.
prayer.
But you know,
Right.
I think
That's right.
often with that we forget the fact that we're saying, okay, well, I have to forgive, or God's not going to forgive me. The point is that God gives you the grace to forgive.
Yes.
He gives you that forgiveness.
So the ability to be able
The
to do so.
ability,
Yeah.
you know, He takes it from your heart if you're just willing to hand it to Him and say, all right, Lord, this is yours, not mine.
And that may not happen in a moment. It may be a process you step into in order to work through it. But as long
Right.
as you're in the process working to the point of forgiveness, you're doing the right thing.
Right, and I love what Lewis Smead says
Yes.
about that. You know, about when we forgive, when we take those steps, as difficult as it might be, then we begin healing.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
But
right.
if we wait
Yeah.
to heal
That will
and then
never happen.
forgive,
Yeah.
it may never happen.
Those
This will never
steps that he talks about are hurt, you know, to
Yes.
feel the pain and
Yeah.
then
Hate.
hate.
Yes.
So to acknowledge the fact that you have these bad feelings toward the other
Yes.
person, and then the healing.
Healing
Yes.
and then
And
harmony.
And then coming
Yeah.
back into
Right.
harmony.
Yeah.
Number
Right.
3, they say in your blog that, oh, we're falling out of love because our parents had a bad marriage.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Truth is that the only pattern of marriage that you've ever seen up close and personal is your home of origin.
Yes.
And if that was severely flawed, you don't know how to do marriage.
Right.
You know, you learn to do marriage from your home of origin.
Yes.
And so it is true that if indeed that's the only thing you've ever seen, intimacy is going to be difficult for you to attain, and you're going to difficult to have those feelings. So broaden the scope. Broaden who you look at. Don't just look at this one flawed relationship. Let's
Yeah.
find others.
And don't use it as an excuse.
That's right.
Say, well, you know, I'm predisposed to this, I have a higher risk factor. That's not an excuse, because
Right.
you also still have the power of choice, and you have the ability to learn, you know, to gain new
And to get
knowledge.
help.
To
Absolutely.
To
get
get
help.
help. And,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
again, if we're willing to do that self-assessment and we know our family of origin was pretty messed up, you know, and so it means that I am predisposed,
Yeah.
so I need to
But-
get help,
Yeah.
right?
Hold that
Yeah.
thought. There are great points, and there's more to come after the break. Stay with us, and we'll be right back.
Welcome back to Real Family Talk. So today we're talking with Mike and Gail Tucker about why people feel they've fallen out of love. So we were talking a little bit about forgiveness, but now we want to talk a little bit about those little things that we once thought were cute.
Yeah.
You know, and now all of a sudden they are repulsive to
Yeah,
us.
it's like she loved him because he was so fun and spontaneous, and now those same things seem very irresponsible and immature.
Yes.
You know, he just wants to go and do whatever's fun, and she wants him to take the trash out. you
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Pay the bills. for
Yeah.
crying out loud.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And he was drawn to her because she was a take charge kind of a girl, and she was smart, and now she's just controlling and know-it-all. You know, so
Like a drill sergeant.
That's
yeah,
right.
Yeah, the same qualities somehow turn, and we begin to look at them in a different way when we're up against them every single day.
Right. Okay, so now you guys have been around hundreds, maybe even thousands of couples now, right? And what percentage, just offhand, would you say this happens to?
Oh,
90, 95,
Okay.
98.
And when
Pretty
you
much
work
everybody.
with when
And
you
I
work
know why
with
Elaine is asking. Because there are those who are about to get married, and they say, that's never going to happen to
Yeah.
us.
yeah. No, that's not gonna. I mean, we've carefully, right?
yeah.
So I just
Good-
wanted
good luck
to get
with
that
that.
out there.
Well, the reality is, before we get married, opposites attract.
Yes, they do.
And after we get married, opposites repel.
Repel.
Because the very things that we really fell in love with are the things we despise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The truth is, Gail is more of an introvert. I enter a room mouth first. I know you've never seen that in me.
No.
never noticed.
So I'm the extrovert. Well, you know, that was fun when we were dating, but now I can embarrass her at a moment's notice. You know, she said, he really said that in public in front of all those people?
Did you have to?
No,
Did you have to
seriously.
tell that story again? You know,
So, that's true for every marriage.
Yeah.
Ours not excluded.
Right.
Everyone goes through this.
Yeah.
The key, I think, comes in reframing your attitude towards those things that are different. Because what drew me to Gail was the fact that she's the rock. Her emotions are always right here. Now, at times I can get irritated. Aren't you excited? Well, yes. Would you notify your face, please?
Steady.
Yeah, but she's steady. But she provides solidarity for my life, and I provide a little entertainment for
Well,
hers.
and that's the thing, that I've learned how to laugh and see humor in things that I never would have seen humor in before
Right.
because of our marriage. So I think you have to be careful to continue to look at those things as positives, as pluses. They're not everything about their quality is going to be positive, but there is something about it that is a contributing factor for your
It
relationship.
drew you to that person in the first place.
Right. And so I think what you're saying is to remember.
Yes.
Remember what it
That's
was
right.
that
Yeah.
brought you together.
Take a
What
step
was
back.
it that attracted you? Oftentimes when we work with couples that are in distress, we start out first session. Tell us what drew you to each other.
That's
I'm sure
right.
you do the same
That's
thing.
right.
And
when
sometimes
you
there's
do
a long pause.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I can't remember.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And
know?
then all of a sudden they start remembering and they start smiling.
Yes, that's right.
And it's so amazing because they come in tense and they're very distressed,
Yeah.
and then they start remembering, wow,
Yeah.
you know what? There are some good things
Yeah.
about this marriage, and there were things that
Yeah.
I liked.
I want to go to the next point.
Yeah.
The next point is what you said on your blog is a low self-esteem. Could be a reason why you've fallen out of love. What you're feeling before you're no longer feeling.
Yeah.
There's something wrong with one of the spouses.
People who don't feel good about themselves find it difficult to accept the love and affection of another person.
Yes.
If you don't love yourself, it's difficult for you to love anyone else or to receive someone else's love. And today, the measurements by which we measure ourselves are forced upon us from outside primarily.
Yes.
For men, it has to do with your success in career and the
Whether you have a
position.
job or not, yeah.
That's right. Whether you have a job and how much you're paid
That's
and
right.
those kinds of things. Some of those things you can control and some of them you really can't, especially not in a bad economy. It is what
Right.
it is. If that's the only measurement of your self-esteem, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
We've got to find a place that is more solid. For women, Madison Avenue may paint the picture of what you're supposed to look like.
Right.
Without a lot of surgery, not a lot of women look like that, and it's just unrealistic
Yes.
and it's unhealthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so if that's the source of your self-esteem, we're all in trouble.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have to find a more valid source for establishing our self-esteem, and that is what God has said about you.
Yes.
He's declared you to be of such great value. He sent Jesus for you.
Isn't that wonderful to know?
Yes.
That is the powerful thing about the gospel,
Yes.
that we are so valuable to Jesus Christ that he came to die in our place.
For you.
So in marriage, if we're having a bad time,
Yeah.
if we've lost our jobs, if things are not going so well, we can focus back on how precious we are to Jesus Christ and what that
I
means.
think another thing about self-esteem is that we tend to think that it is the responsibility of our spouse to make us happy.
yeah.
Yes.
I should feel good about myself because of what
You're
what
doing.
Mike does
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
How's that
Yeah.
working?
And it works pretty well.
Very nice.
That's
but-
good.
Got
That's
your
why,
back there,
that's why
man.
it's 37 years.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But when we have the expectation from another person that they are supposed to be in charge of making us happy,
Yeah.
that's not
Yeah.
realistic.
Yeah.
It's not going to
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah, I think it's Willie Oliver that says,
Over the years, marriage is not to make you happy, it's to make you married.
Yeah.
Only Jesus
Yeah.
Christ can make you happy.
He makes you happy.
That's
If you're
right.
happy in Jesus and your
Yeah.
spouse is happy in Jesus, you have happiness square.
Yeah.
But if you're depending on your spouse to make you happy, you're going to be in trouble.
Yes,
Yeah.
Because you're married
Yeah.
to a human being.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we have the idea of a soulmate, and
Yeah.
that's
Yes.
great.
That
But we
fallacy.
think that's supposed to be someone that just we see them across a room and that's the perfect
Some
person.
enchanted
Right,
evening,
right,
you will
right.
meet a
And-
stranger.
That's right.
not true.
And we say that soulmates are not found, they're made.
They are
made.
made.
We become soulmates.
We choose
That-
to
after
become soulmates.
years,
That's
and
right.
we have this
Yeah.
attitude of compassion and caring and
Absolutely.
forgiveness.
Correct.
But going back to the issue of self-esteem, what would you say to someone then who is struggling with low self-esteem? Because that's a huge issue in many marriages. People are broken,
Yes, they are.
and we're coming into relationship with other people who are also broken.
Yes.
And we're depending on them to fix our
Fix us.
brokenness, to
Right.
complete us.
Yeah.
Again,
That
another
whole-
falsehood from
You complete
Hollywood.
me.
You complete me.
sorry.
And I think
Nobody
we
can
just need to
complete me,
change
yeah.
our direction, change our focus where we're looking. Don't look to your spouse to do that, but look to the Lord to do that.
Okay.
And as He does, then He gives you the ability also to be more of a boost for your spouse that they need.
See yourself as God sees you.
I want to go to
Yeah.
the last one,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
that is, having a dull marriage and just killing the whole honeymoon.
Yeah.
Tell us about dullness.
It's so easy to fall into because that's the routine of our lives. There's nothing exciting, as we mentioned before,
Yeah.
about taking out the trash and paying the bills.
Right.
And it's very easy to fall into that. I think it's important for us to have planned spontaneity.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, what do you do?
Yeah.
I mean, don't
Yeah.
keep it.
No,
you know.
well, there are a number of little things. First of all, we have a date night, and so we go out, and the rule there is we don't talk about the children, we don't talk about work, we talk about us. We
Yeah.
try to keep things fun and entertaining that
Yes,
way.
yes.
But even just in the little everyday passings of in the house, we rarely pass each other without touching.
Yeah,
that's
and we've been looking not only in our own lives, but with other couples for what we call marriage moments. And those are the times when you go out of your way to do something to just let your spouse know that they're loved.
That's
and
wonderful.
and for one couple we talked to, there's a place that she loves to go. She loves to go to this certain restaurant. He hates it.
Yeah.
It's not his thing, but she says, I know he loves me because he'll go there every day and get what I want and bring it to me.
Yeah.
That's
look
wonderful.
at that. Look at that. We've been having a wonderful time with Mike and Gil Tucker, but that's all for today's Real Family Talk. Join us again when we'll talk more about strengthening families and inspiring hope.